of the Kulafa Rasyidin is the second stage in the history of Islamic Fiqh. The era began after the death of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in 632 CE until the death of Caliph Ali radhiyallahu anhu in 661 CE. The four main caliphs involved were Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali. They were called Ar-Rasyidin, the rightly guided caliph. During the Prophet time, law came directly through divine revelation, but when the revelation stopped, the companion had to find a new way to determine ruling for issues that were not clearly mentioned in the Quran or Hadith. That is why this period marked the official beginning of ijtihad, methods of reasoning, and ijma, consensus of opinion. At the same time, the Islamic Empire expanded rapidly into Syria, Egypt, Iraq, and Persia. This expansion brought many new issues that needed to be resolved, especially in matters of economy, administration, and local custom. The new approach used by the Caliph and the companion to deal with these challenges through ijtihad and ijma became the main foundation for the formation of the fiqh system we know today.
Leadership of the Muslim Ummah was carried by the Kulafa Ar-Rasyidin, the rightly guided caliphs, whose wisdom and justice preserved Islam and shaped its early laws. Caliph Abu Bakr as-Siddiq faced the challenge of uniting the Muslims after many tribes rebelled. Through ijtihad, reasoning, and ijma consensus, he strengthened the Ummah and made a historic decision to compile the Quran into one manuscript to preserve Allah's words. Another example of fiqh ruling deduced is waging against those who refuse to pay zakah. During the reign of Abu Bakr, some Muslims refused to pay zakah, believing that it should only be paid to the Prophet. Abu Bakr decided to wage war upon them and said in his famous statement, "I will wage war against those who differentiate between the obligation of prayer and zakah as it is the obligation in one's property." His successor, Caliph Umar ibn al-Khattab, expanded the empire across Persia, Egypt, and Syria, introducing administrative institutions like the Shura Council and the National Treasury. He used qiyas, analogy, and maslahah musallah, public interest, in rulings, such as keeping conquered lands as public property to ensure fairness for all Muslims. He also created a new rule regarding statement of divorce. In order to discourage abuse of divorce, Caliph Umar altered an aspect of the law of divorce. In the time of the Prophet, the pronouncement of 3 divorce statements at any one time was considered to be merely one divorce statement, and it was reversible. Caliph Umar declared such multiple pronouncements to be binding and therefore irreversible. The tendency among the people to easily divorce their wives had prompted the Caliph to take his decision. The ruling was also imposed in order to discipline the society and to create awareness among them on the seriousness of such matter.
Now, for the next Khalifa during the era of Kulafa Ar-Rasyidin is Khalifa Uthman bin Affan, known for his generosity and organizational skill. Continue the empire's expansion and preserve unity by standardizing the Quran when differences in recitation appear. He formulated an ijtihad that all people, especially Muslims, should read the Quran according to Zayd's way of recitation. This is because he thought that this was the most sound and the most likely to forestall the occurrence of disagreements. Finally, the last Khalifa during the era of Kulafa Ar-Rasyidin is Imam Ali bin Abi Talib, who is the cousin of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is renowned for his deep understanding of Islamic law. He often applied ijtihad using various principles such as qiyas, istishab, istihsan, and istislah. he always grounding his judgments in the broader objectives of the Sharia. One example of his analytical reasoning was when he was consulted about increasing the had punishment for those guilty of drinking alcohol. Sayyidina Ali compared drunkenness to the act of false accusations, reasoning that intoxication could lead a person to slander others, and thus applied an analogy between those two offenses. On another occasion, during the caliphate of Sayyidina Umar bin al-Khattab, Sayyidina Ali was asked about the punishment for a group who had jointly conspired to commit premeditated murder. He replied by drawing a comparison to theft, arguing that just as a group of thieves would each have their hands cut for stealing, all participants in a murder share equal guilt and should face the same punishment. Impressed by this reasoning, Sayyidina Umar bin al-Khattab declared, "If all the citizens of Sana'a were to join together in murdering one man, I would execute them all." Sayyidina Ali also demonstrated his firm stance against apostasy, imposing the harshest punishments on those who rebel against Islam. He even ordering them to be burned alive. The decision he justified as a necessary deterrent against grave acts of disbelief and rebellion. To emphasize the gravity of their crime, Sayyidina Ali recited, "When I realized how grievous the matter was, I lit my bonfire and called for Khanbar." Such rulings reflects Ali's unwavering commitment to justice and his keen ability to apply reasoning and analogy within the spirit of Sharia to safeguard the moral and spiritual integrity of the Muslim community.
During the time of the Sahaba, differences in fiqh and legal opinions naturally emerged due to several important factors. Firstly, there were different understandings of the Quran and Hadith, as not every companion was present for all of the Prophet Muhammad's teachings or rulings. Some companions heard certain Hadith directly, while others received them through second-hand reports, leading to variations in interpretation and application. This often required the use of ijtihad or personal reasoning to derive rulings when direct guidance was unavailable. Secondly, as Islam spread rapidly after the Prophet's passing, the companions migrated to different regions from Arabia to Syria, Iraq, Egypt, and beyond, where they faced new cultures, customs, and social conditions. The application of Islamic law or fiqh had to consider these local realities, which sometimes resulted in differing legal opinions suited to each environment. Lastly, unawareness of nasakh or abrogation also contributed to these differences. Some companions were unaware when a particular ruling was replaced by a newer one revealed later in the Prophet's life, causing them to continue practicing or teaching the earlier versions. Together, these factors, varying interpretations, differing regional contexts, and limited awareness of abrogation, explain the diversity of fiqh among the companions and laid the groundwork for later schools of Islamic jurisprudence.
During the period of the Kulafa Rasyidin, fiqh was characterized by its practicality and direct relevance to real societal issues, rather than hypothetical ones, as scholars focused on resolving actual problems faced by the community, an approach later developed into the school of Hadith in Medina. The caliphs and scholars maintained an open-minded attitude, allowing freedom of opinion in matters not explicitly defined by Sharia. While many companions, such as Ibn Umar, adhered strictly to the literal meanings of the Quran and Sunnah, others, like Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, used personal reasoning with great caution, giving rise to two intellectual trends: the School of Hadith in Medina, and the School of Ra'i in Kufa. Laws were also flexible and adapted to changing circumstances, as seen in Caliph Umar's rulings, such as discontinuing zakah for new converts when it was no longer needed, and enforcing stricter divorce laws to maintain social discipline. During this time, no formal mazhab existed, as all legal rulings were state-linked and unified under the authority of the ruling caliph, whose ijtihad and ijma' guided the legal system until succeeded by the next caliph's judgments.
The era of the Kulafa Rasyidin was the golden age of Islamic leadership. It was a period filled with justice, wisdom, unity, and strong obedience to the teachings of the Quran and Sunnah. This era covered the leadership of Abu Bakr Siddiq, Umar ibn al-Khattab, Uthman ibn Affan, and Ali ibn Abi Talib. During their rule, the Islamic State became stronger, expanded to new regions, and developed a fair and organized system of government that followed Islamic principles. Each caliph showed his own special qualities. Abu Bakr was known for his strong faith and determination, Umar for his sense of justice and discipline, Uthman for his generosity and reform, and Ali for his deep knowledge and bravery. Together, they built the foundation of a strong Islamic civilization that was based on truth and justice. They governed the people through ijtihad, consultation, and strict obedience to the Sharia, showing great honesty, fairness, and responsibility in every decision. The era of the Kulafa Rasyidin stands as the best example of Islamic leadership, one that was guided by faith, humility, justice, and service to the people. Their legacy continues to inspire Muslims to seek righteous leaders and to remain united as one ummah under the guidance of Allah.